Chapter 2, Part 4. As King balanced work and rest, he couldn't help but think about his business financiers. He had no intention of suffering the same fate as many billionaires who had lost it all. They soared one moment only to plummet into bankruptcy, living in shame and destitution, just like many of King's victims. He needed to stay strong physically and mentally to see his plans through, and his main backers appeared uneasy due to his recent media exposure. Since the Irish economic collapse in 2008, King had grown greedier, and the idea of everything falling apart troubled him. He detested even contemplating such scenarios. King had become accustomed to effortlessly taking what he wanted, given his status as the biggest bully on the Irish playground. He rarely encountered resistance in Ireland, but Will, despite being entirely of Irish descent, was also 100% American. Not only were his business investors relying on him, but so was the Irish government. Unlike King, they were unwilling to take the risks of exposure. King had enjoyed unprecedented judicial immunity and government support since the Celtic Tiger crash. The government controlled the media, ensuring positive coverage for King and burying any anti-King stories. However, some prominent journalists grew weary of suppressing award-winning stories at King's behest when their editors or publishers were pressured by the government. Following the Celtic Tiger crash of 2008, Irish news media publishers formed an alliance to maintain their grip on the Irish people. The government, through majority ownership in every Irish bank, seized the assets of the Irish people to cover the losses. With control over the media and courts, the government left citizens with no recourse when banks or their proxies, like King, seized their assets, often businesses, homes, or land. No one was safe, and justice seemed elusive in the Irish legal system. "Time is up." Dr. John entered the large bedroom, his voice low. "About time," King grumbled as he sat up and slid off the bed. He had been lost in thought for nearly 30 minutes during the second injection. Irritation was typical for King, who had little patience and even less tolerance for his physician, Dr. John. Dr. John cautiously approached the IV bag to check the remaining fluids. Satisfied with the results, he moved towards King to remove the IV connection. He had experienced King's temper before, so he handled the IV removal procedure with extra care. "Get on with it," King growled impatiently. Dr. John followed the instructions, disposing of the IV equipment in a red Sharps container on a large marble-top Louis XV antique table along the wall. "We'll monitor your progress this week and see how you react to the updated formula," Dr. John informed King as he finished cleaning up. Without a word, King acknowledged with a grunt and stood up from the bed. Dr. John observed that this batch was already taking effect, evident from King's flushed face and increased mobility. As King opened the door to the Victorian-style room and left, Dr. John wrapped up his tasks. He mentioned, "I'll go check on Mrs. King before I go to the office." Dr. John then turned his attention back to the vast window that overlooked thousands of acres of land, stretching all the way to Blackstaff Forest in the distance. Blackstaff Manor had a rich history, originally constructed in the 10th century, and had been home to many earls of Monaghan. It sat adjacent to the expansive Blackstaff Forest and the largest bog in Ireland and the UK, straddling the boundaries between Southern Ireland and Northern Ireland. The manor, reconstructed numerous times, reached its final form around 1770 and held protective status due to its historical significance. King, however, made unauthorized upgrades, defying preservation orders as he believed such rules didn't apply to him. He aimed to modernize the manor with state-of-the-art amenities, including an underground pool, jacuzzi, steam and exercise rooms, billiard room, and more. This ambitious project attracted the attention of the Irish Preservation Society, prompting an investigation. This unprecedented defiance disrupted King's usual dominance as the society halted the project. King's history of purchasing local farms through controlling their debt, which he then called in, had already earned him the locals' disdain. Despite this temporary setback, King knew he would ultimately get his way and find out who had tipped off the Preservation Society. His determination to have his pool and exact revenge was unwavering. King, dressed in a robe, prepared his outfit with meticulous care, loving the process of matching every detail, from vest to tie, cufflinks to shoes. His impressive wardrobe was stored in the master closet of Blackstaff Manor, which boasted ample space and a vast attic rarely accessed by anyone. Leaving his makeshift hospital room, King headed down a hallway leading to the main bedroom, passing his wife Rosie's room. Rosie, bedridden and wheelchair-bound at 75, no longer attended social events, which suited King just fine. He relished social occasions and preferred her absence. King had adopted children from Rosie's first marriage, who seized every opportunity to benefit from his success. To maintain the illusion of a happy family, King showered them with extravagant gifts, using them as references for his supposedly normal home life. At 83, King was still on top of the world, craving admiration and praise. He intended to remain there until his last breath, after which he cared little for the fate of his possessions, friends, or family.